start, I'd like to open the meeting of the Falmouth Public Schools School Committee meeting for I wish it was November, May 12th, 2020. I remind everyone that this meeting is being telecast and recorded on channel 14, as well as other things. I also remind any member of the public who wishes to make an audio or video recording of the open session of this meeting to first notify me as the chair, and that I will inform the public of the recording as required by the open meeting law. I would ask if there are any takers on that. Governor Baker's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, G.L.c.30A Sec.20. The public will not be allowed to physically access the school committee meeting, but can view live on Zoom, channel 14, and YouTube, and there is a link for that. I'd like to read our mission statement, vision, and core values, and also our responsibilities as a school committee. Mission: the Falmouth Public Schools creates world-class student learning experiences. Our Clippers are empowered to pursue their goals with curiosity, integrity, and resiliency. The vision: Clippers are creative, inquisitive, and engaged learners who participate in the community as socially responsible citizens. Clippers effectively communicate and solve problems that impact the world around them. Core values: empower students to find joy in their learning, embrace each other's differences and cultivate community, encourage a life of growth and wellness. And the role of the school committee is threefold. 1, to write policy. 2, to approve the operating budget. And 3, to hire the superintendent and support her in carrying out her initiatives for the school district. I'm going to go into public comment, and I know last time when we did public comment, prior to that, we were obviously very open and very flexible with people wanting to speak, whether it was agenda items or not agenda items. And I think because of the situation we're in with the pandemic, I think those were very open and good. And then I think last week we looked at the point where we would go back to items on the agenda, not on the agenda, excuse me. But we'll obviously listen to anybody prior to, but throughout the meeting, then obviously the public comment is the public comment. So I want to read that public comment. Please limit comments to 2 minutes per individual to items not on this meeting agenda. There will be no debate or action taken on public comment items. And I think that's important because I think a lot of people will ask us something and expect to get a return response immediately. And sometimes we need to look at that and go back and maybe put that in the next agenda or discuss that internally. The committee will take items under advisement, or the individual may request an item be placed on future agenda. And I think those two things are very important. So I will open the public comment. Is there anybody in the public that would like to make a comment? And Melissa and John are here, and hello.
Good evening.
Okay, anybody in public comment, Lori?
No, there's no one that's raised their hand.
All right. So then we will go to act on calendar date for change of graduation, and we will need a motion.
Could I do a brief presentation before, just to talk a little bit about the graduation? Not for discussion with you, just wanted to share information about the survey.
Okay.
And such.
Okay.
Would that be appropriate before you take your?
Yes.
I'd like to invite Principal Gans to join us so that she can share a little bit about the process and the survey and our plans. Hi, Mary.
Hello, everyone. Again, I think I've been here the past 3 meetings. You're going to get sick of me.
Never, never. It's all yours.
Okay, so as you know, I explained the survey the last time, and we sent out one survey to seniors about graduation and one survey to their families about graduation with 4 different options. And the survey results overwhelmingly showed that the consensus was a desire and a hope to have a live graduation ceremony postponed to an indefinite date in the summer. So with that, I met with the senior class advisors, the class officers, and the class representatives last Tuesday afternoon, and I reviewed the survey results with them, and I told them if we wanted to proceed with what the consensus had said, and they said they did. They really were, it was giving them hope that they could possibly have a live graduation at some point in the summer. So then we moved to, we needed to pick a date. And we do know we have some seniors who are going off for one reason or another, whether it's college, work, or military, in early August, assuming their plans still hold for at that point. So we decided the date we would pick was Saturday, July 25th. And we discussed the fact that we know that there's a real likelihood that restrictions will still be in place at that time. We also know that the governor is issuing his 4-phase reopening plan on May 18th. And we discussed that we would obviously have to abide by whatever state and local restrictions and guidelines are in place, and that we would be innovative and creative as we could be. But also knowing that as the date approached, if it appeared that our plans were not going to be viable and feasible and safe, that the fallback would have to be a 100% virtual ceremony at that point, and everybody understood that. And we sent an email, I sent an email out to all the seniors explaining that, and to their families explaining that, and didn't get any negative feedback about it. I think what the senior class officers really said to me was, this just gives them a little hope that they will still have some semblance of a traditional graduation ceremony. So we wanted to honor that. So the date that they proposed was July 25th, and I guess that is what is on your agenda to vote on tonight.
Yes.
Thank you, Mary.
Go back to a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion and any questions for Lori or our Principal Gantz?
I just wanted to thank Mary. Oh, I don't know where she went. She disappeared. For making it clear to the families that, we want to do this. Well, I want to do it. I can't speak for the rest of the committee. I don't know. I would love to be able to have graduation, but that we want them to moderate their hope, because the last thing they need is to be disappointed again.
Any other comments? John?
Just a comment and a compliment to Mary, because in the past several years, some of the items that very serious nature that she's had to address, and she and her team have done a very good job of giving everything thought and action plans, and has been a steadying force for the school, for the high school and the district, and obviously Laurie as well. But I thought it'd be remiss not to say the past several years for Mary or not have been out of the box, and she's really done well.
Andrea?
Yeah, I just also wanted to thank Mary for that introduction to it, because I think that communication and being very clear that we're not just planning for the next event, but for fallback. And, there's plans A, B, and C for almost everything that we're doing. And knowing that that's happening and communicating it to families, like Kelly said, making sure that expectations are there, that's fantastic. And I think that that's what we need to do to make sure that people feel like they really know what's going on.
Thank you. Any other comments? Melissa?
I'm grateful that we have input from the seniors. This is such a disappointment for them, and I'm so proud of them for being for having to be this mature at this time to concede to potentially a virtual graduation. They've missed out on so much already, and it's so not fair. But I'm really proud of them for understanding the position that we're all in, and being okay with a hopeful date and a potential backup plan, C, D, whatever.
Anyone else? I would love to have those students have that opportunity July 25th to do something fairly traditional, even though it's not going to be totally traditional. But I would love that to have those seniors who have been through a lot to have that opportunity. Terri?
This is not really about graduation, but it's on the subject of seniors. That Friday, some high school teachers delivered the Clippers sailing ahead, off for new waters. Lori, what did it say on it? There were two choices, right?
Wasn't it like all aboard or something like that, or up?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Sailing away, and
Because I can't remember.
sailing away.
We can invite Principal Gans back with us.
Mary?
Yep.
Well, I just want to say one of my neighbors actually had one of the signs in their yard, and it warmed my heart when I was out for my walk. So hats off. I think that's great. They deserve it.
Did the other one say Clipper Pride?
They said anchors away. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Anchors away, and oh my goodness, I'm drawing a blank. I was pulling up a picture. No, they were actually, the senior class officers had them designed specifically. It was very nice, and they reviewed those with the senior class advisors, excuse me. One said anchors away, one said setting sail or something like that, and the other one said proud home of Falmouth senior class of 2020, hashtag I am a Clipper.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
So if you look at the high school Facebook page, there's lots of photos being posted, so it's nice.
Okay. Andrea?
That was really cool.
Thank you, Terri.
Since we were on the signs, I just wanted to chime in too that I had that same kind of feeling. And I know that, we did it in this extraordinary circumstances, but I think going forward, it's amazing as you're driving around going, oh, there's a senior there. Oh, there's a graduate there. It is really cool. And I think that'd be a great thing to continue with. Trendsetters.
Yes. Anyone else? Okay, we're going to vote on the date change for graduation. All in favor? And we will do this the way we're supposed to. Melissa?
Aye.
Terri?
She's on mute.
Yes. Terri?
Yes, I'm sorry.
It's okay. John?
John Furnari, aye.
Andrea?
Andrea Thorrold, yes.
Meghan?
Megan Fleck, yes.
Natalie?
Natalie, yes.
Lisa?
Lisa Hart, yes.
Kelly?
Kelly, yes.
And Bill, yes. Date change for July 25th. Keep our fingers crossed. Next. Act on the donation from the Clam Man for $500. Motion. Melissa? A second.
I'll make a second.
Discussion. Anything from you, Lori, on that?
Just want to thank the Clan Man for the donation. This was for the boys ice hockey tournament, and that was to help us with the ice rink, the arena cost. And so we very much appreciate the donation.
Yes, yes, thank you very much. Any other discussion? All those in favor, and I'll do a roll call. Melissa?
Aye.
Terri?
Yes.
John?
John Furnari, aye.
Andrea?
Andrea Thorrold, yes.
Meghan?
Yes.
Natalie,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Kelly,
Kelly, yes.
and Bill, yes. Donate $500 donation from the Clan Man accepted. And again, thank them for their support. Act on $500 donation from the road race.
I
And
motion to accept.
yes, motion. John, thank you. A second.
Second.
I missed it. Who seconded?
I second it, Melissa.
Thank you.
Okay. Lori, anything on that one again?
Yes, we'd like to thank the Falmouth Road Race for also donating the $500. This was again for the boys ice hockey tournament to help us pay for the arena cost. So thank you to the Falmouth Road Race.
Anyone else? Roll call vote. Melissa,
Aye.
Terry,
Yes.
John,
John Furnari, yes.
Andrea,
Andrea Thorrold, yes.
Meghan,
Yes.
Natalie,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Kelly,
Kelly, yes.
and Bill, yes. And the donation from the Falmouth Road Race is accepted. And again, thank you for your support. And those things are tremendous. Act on $1,000 gift card from an anonymous community member. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Terry, is there a second?
John, a second.
John, thank you. Lori, any discussion on that?
Yes, I'd very much like to acknowledge our anonymous donor for 20 $50 gift cards from Staples to help with school supplies for students in the homes that may not have all the school supplies that they need to complete the work during this time. They did ask to remain anonymous, and I want to honor that, but very much thank you. If you're out there listening, we do appreciate it. So over to you.
Any other comments? Andrea.
I was just wondering, what is the process for distribution and selection of who to receive those wonderful gift cards?
So a couple different, some families may not need full $50 on, so and may not be able to go out and purchase. So we are actually doing all kind of things. So if a family's in need, we certainly are looking at a lot of our families that are also on our list to pick up the breakfast and lunch that we're providing, and from our Cape Kid meals. So when there's a need for the supplies, either the gift card or we can purchase and then deliver to the families what they need. So we're trying to be accommodating to family needs.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. All those in favor, we'll start with Melissa,
Aye.
Terry,
Yes.
thank you. John,
John Furnari, aye.
Andrea,
Andrea Thorrold, yes.
Meghan,
Yes.
Natalie,
Natalie, yes.
Lisa,
Lisa, yes.
Kelly,
Kelly, yes.
and Bill, yes. And again, well, we got to thank the community for their support for our students. That is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Okay, next on the agenda, act on held policies for sections A, B, C, E, I, and J. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Melissa.
Terry can have it and I'll second it.
Okay, thank you very much. Any discussion?
Well, we had a
Terry?
question. We had a question from Kelly about policy BHE. Was that the right letters? And Sonia maybe could explain. Jim Harding wrote back to us about that. That's what we were waiting for. So maybe Sonia can read what he wrote back.
Sonia, did you pick that up?
My turn. I was muted. Sorry about that.
Okay.
The question that we had two questions. One was about in the beginning, there was phrasing about exercising caution, and he was just, reminding, he said the language is just that, meant to remind that when people are exchanging and communicating, not constituting a quorum. And then there was a second piece in the policy that we were talking about with use of electronic messaging, about designating a member of the district staff who would print and archive. And our question was, if we are using our email system, which readily is archived and backed up, would we need that designated person? And so Jim wrote back, as long as everyone is using their district email, then that is true and everything is archived. If someone opts to use a personal email, that would have to be printed and that would have to be CC'd to the designated person. So as long as our practice is that we use our @Falmouth Public Schools emails and everyone consistently uses that, then we would not have to have the designated person who prints and creates, a binder of archived emails.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Bill, a question. So are we approving these as a slate, or we do them individually? Or?
We're doing these as a slate, I believe. That's how it is on the agenda. So we'll do these as a slate.
Okay. Could we just go like with a snapshot of each one that's on there? Or like just so, because I actually wasn't attached on the agenda, so I was trying to go back and see the A through I.
Yeah, it wasn't attached, so I did pretty much the same thing. And I think we were pretty much standard bearer throughout this whole thing on discussion. But is there anything else that would come up in this? Excuse me.
Well, the AD is the mission, the vision, correct? And then the ADF is the wellness. And ADA is the core values. And then the other one was the BHE, the electronic messaging.
Yes.
The EB is have safety. I just want to make sure I'm not missing something amongst this. And then the I is the volunteer program.
Yep.
And is that basically all of them?
And then J is administering medicines to students.
Yeah.
That's the
Okay.
last one.
Yes.
All right, but J is not listed as one of the ones of this slate, though, on the agenda.
Yeah. A, B, C,
Oh,
E,
no, there
I,
it is. It is on there. Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is, John. It is on the agenda.
Yeah, and so just a question on the volunteer one, the IJOC. The legally and everything, and that everyone was okay with council was okay with striking the thing where it says that individuals are subject to all applicable policies and procedures. It would have said contained herein for regular staff, so that doesn't have to be in there. Because that's being stricken, right? On the second paragraph, the last line?
Yes.
Okay, and everybody was okay with that then? Okay.
Yeah.
And then the only other question I had on the core value dynamic, if I wasn't mistaken, we were going to include something mentioning an inclusive environment or something. Was that the discussion we had, that was going to be?
That was in the definitions.
And the definition. Okay, cool.
We're making sure that was clarified.
Okay.
Also, I'm just saying that we're approving these with the suggested changes from last meeting, right? Because there was so what Sonia just went over with the electronic, so making that small tweak to reflect that, and we were taking the hashtag I am a Clipper off of the policy as discussed. And then we were moving the mission, vision, and core values to one policy. And Jim also confirmed that when we asked.
Okay. And now, Sonia, the ones that I listed, I didn't miss anyone that we're voting on here, right?
So there's one more that was not on the cover page, but was introduced at the April 14th meeting and was in the original packet, and that is CBE.
CBE, okay. So that's about, That's the one that with the superintendent
The
would no longer need the school committee to okay raises for central office or principals, right?
it is that policy, yes, salary increments.
Okay. Now, if I may, that I'm actually just, it can be voted on as a slate. I'd suggest from a procedural standpoint, if we were to vote on a slate, we'd make a motion to vote on as a slate. But as a side note, actually, I am against the CBE. I'm in favor of all the other ones, are fine. The CBE one, I just think, and I'll say, Laurie, I'll say Superintendent X, so it doesn't, or Superintendent A, so it doesn't make any reference to you. Just in regards to, I think, you know, with anytime you have a, you know, obviously we have a lot of stuff where we say that, you know, we are in charge of hiring the superintendent and then letting her do her thing. And I'm the first one to say, you know, for us to let her do her thing and stay out of her way and then just be more of a kind of an overview dynamic of overall long-range goals, and she do the day-to-day. With that said, I think if you had Superintendent A, who is maybe a lame duck superintendent and then gives raises of, you know, who knows what, 80% of someone's salary or something, we would not have a mechanism to prevent that. And if someone's a lame duck superintendent and wanted to do an agreement and raise salary significantly, I know in the past we haven't necessarily exercised that vote on it, but I think having the mechanism there, and our colleagues in Bourne actually on this particular item, you know, not that we have to follow what other people do, but they actually had kept that as something that they did keep, it, you know, the possibility of being able to influence that. And some of the other policy things in general, I think there's a lot of, not necessarily with this batch here, but there's a lot of the school committee kind of surrendering the input and just saying, okay, the superintendent's doing it. And then I'd rather have it be where we have some input and not just that, oh, we got to get a new superintendent if they did something that we don't agree with. And I think this is one of those cases with that. Thank you.
Megan?
I think in a lot of these policies, we were really trying to match our practice and what we actually do. And we found that we weren't doing what was in the policy. So, for example, the one you just mentioned, we don't get to, you know, approve salaries, or we get to maybe see them and hear about them. But we've at least as long as I've been here, we've never been able to, you know, stop raises or give our really input on it. So I think that's what our intent was, to kind of match what we're actually doing.
With regards to being able to, we had been able to, we just hadn't exercised it. So we'd be surrendering the ability to be able to. But I mean, I was just suggesting if we did it one by one, I'd vote for everyone but that particular one. But it's, you know, it's up to you guys.
So in the past, Terri, I don't know, you've been on for a while. Have you been able to kind of speak up and say that you disagree with raises, or it just?
Terri, go ahead.
That has not been the practice all the time I've been there. I'm not, see, we look at so many policies and we mix and match with the MASCs and ours, and I can't even remember if that line came up because the MASC suggested it. I can't remember if it was ever in our policy from the get-go, but I can tell you it's never been done. So Sonia, do you remember, was that in our original one?
I would have to go, I don't have all of my policy subcommittee notes, unfortunately, with me. I have my current tracking, but that was the crux of the conversation, was that we were trying to take and match what had been recent historical practice that we all collectively had against the policy.
Right.
Kelly?
I just think it's important to point out that it's not just that we shouldn't create a policy as a protective measure in case something happens to go wrong, because it also creates circumstances where we have to do things that we may not want to be doing. So like what I'm thinking is, you know, if every time these things have to be approved and we're doing them in public, we're having personnel conversations that really we shouldn't be having or probably be part of. And not only are we having them, but because of how we operate, we're having them in public. And so I just want to be sure that if we're doing something, it is for good reason and not as, you know, because I think that all too often we say, okay, well, we're going to put this measure in place to protect ourselves from, you know, some unknown thing. And instead we're creating a whole nother issue. So that's my 2 cents about it. I don't want to, my personal preference is to not break them apart because we've never done that before. And I kind of feel like if we were going to rehash this, we should have done it during discussion or first read, not now. But I would still be opposed to, you know, changing the policy anyway, because I don't think it's in keeping with what we're trying to actually accomplish.
Terri?
I kind of think it falls under the description that we give, that we support superintendent, whoever, that it's part of the comings and goings and the daily operations of the district. I mean, we don't vote on individual teachers or individual nurses or individual anybody. Lori has a certain amount of money and she knows what she's going to do with it, and she is in contact with them. So we just never have. It's never been a problem. We've always gotten information about what it is. Here's what I've decided to do, and that's that. There is another extreme, and Lori, hope you don't mind if you and I discussed one time about districts that do that, and sometimes people had to come and present before the committee, and which isn't the proper way to go about it, I don't think.
Anyone else? I honestly believe, because of the way we break down the policy committee and the way we review policies on a first read, a second read, and then vote, and then the Q&A we have going back and forth with each individual policy, I think we should vote on these in total. That's my feeling. John?
Just a final reference that it could be actually a positive thing too, to see that the school committee, if we did exercise that ability, is supporting that principal or whomever, and then they have, you know, that they're getting not only the thumbs up from the superintendent, but from the rest of the folks. But I'll need to vote no on it, which is fine. You guys vote however you want to see fit. But I do think procedurally, if you're voting on a slate, it should say this is a slate, and then we motion approve it, and then, but I'll assume that it's as a slate as you're deciding.
Okay, we've had a motion, we've had a second, we've had discussion, we're very open in the discussion. My feeling is we vote on these as a group because of all the time and effort that the policy committee put into it, and as we reviewed these and revamped them as we continue to move along. Terri?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
John?
No.
Andrea?
Andrea Thorrold, yes.
Meghan?
Yes.
Natalie?
Natalie, yes.
Lisa?
Lisa, yes.
Kelly?
Kelly, yes.
Bill? Yes. Motion carries. Policies are acted upon. Discuss policies K and L. Sonia?
As we presented at our last meeting, we have these 2 sections. They are the final 2 sections that we have to share with you. And so we would be happy to answer questions. I know there were a couple of questions that had come up. There is one in here with a typo. It still says chairman. That'll be addressed to be changed as chair when it's published. There was also on policy KF, the community use of school facilities, that had come up in the previous discussion about is there a prioritization for health and physical activity in the second section? And we do prioritize school activities as well as community activities and work with recreation. So those are very broad in terms of being able to honor and represent those. Then on policy KLG, which is relations with public safety authorities, cooperation with public safety agencies is essential for the protection of students and staff. So that was part of the discussion that is being addressed. I feel like I am missing one here in my notes from Kay.
I think it was me. I think it might have been about the community school and just making sure the community school fell into one of the categories so that we didn't like box ourselves in with not being able to have them use the buildings.
Thank you. And I believe we did address at the last time that the community school is part of the district. So that covers them.
Just wanted to, wellness should have been also on this list. My apologies. We introduced the wellness policy last time as well. So it was KL and the wellness, I believe.
KL and wellness. Okay, thank you.
Which I believe is ADF, just if we're tracking it in our notes.
Okay, thank you, Lori. Any other questions? Anybody from the committee would like to, John?
Yeah, just a couple of questions. So the one where it said the KF, where it's recreation department. So I'm assuming that, as has been in the past, like youth organizations like Falmouth Soccer would be allowed to use the facilities under like Joe Olenek, being organizing that.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the other question I had on KBE, where it eliminates parent-teacher, the PTOs. I'm assuming that where it says formal parent organizations, that other line kind of covered that.
Correct.
So that, okay. And then the other one is the KCD, where it eliminates equipment as donations of equipment. So would that negate things like the gym equipment that we got at Morse Pond, or the track, the basketball court, computers, TVs, things like that? Would all of that be not acceptable anymore?
I think the understanding was that if we're accepting gifts, gifts was an all-inclusive term.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
I just have one question. It's actually not necessarily about the policy, but about a procedure that it sets up about the school committee approving the fee structure that I, of course, can't figure out which one it was in. It was one of the K ones, I think. But if we do approve this, then once they're implemented, we should probably actually do that, because it's been, I don't know, 7 years and I don't remember ever doing it. So we should add it to our list of things for the future.
Yes.
I'll have to look at that fee structure then. Thank you. And we have time to obviously look at these policies again. So thank you. Anyone else on the policies? That's policy K, L, and wellness. Any other discussion on that? Thank you. Okay. Approved minutes from April 28th, 2020. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve the minutes of April 28, 2020.
Is there a second? Lisa has a second. Any discussion? Terri?
Yes.
Okay. Melissa?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Andrea?
Andrea Thorrold, yes.
Meghan?
Yes.
Natalie?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Kelly?
Kelly, yes.
Bill? Yes. Approved minutes of April 28th, 2020. Thank you. Superintendent's briefing, please. Lori.
Yes, so I wanted to share, I've gotten a few questions about some things, and I thought that this would be a good opportunity to share and to share with the school committee as well. I think it was a good question. It was, how do we decide on the frequently asked questions and the answers? How does it happen from the governor's guidance, the commissioner of education, and so forth? And so I just wanted to kind of talk about the process a little bit about that, because maybe it'll be helpful. We have the governor, obviously, when he has any advisories, we are following all of those, or any mandates that happens. So a lot of times, that is why we wait for those. Sometimes we don't want to get out ahead of it. After the governor has any type of advisory, then the Commissioner Riley, Commissioner of Education, then sets out guidance. He does usually, prior to the written guidance, shares with the superintendents, what they're thinking, what they're, or there'll be guidance to follow. So sometimes it comes in multiple steps. So it's not always, that this is said and then we get the guidance right away. So sometimes it is in steps. A couple examples of how decisions are made around that, and one of them is around the learning. In the very beginning, the guidance from the commissioner was around just making sure that the students' needs are met, that we are connected, and that we can begin some enrichment work and maintenance of skills and the standards that have already been taught. So those were kind of those early stages. The second stage of guidance was given was to continue with the enrichment, but allowing us to begin new learning if a district wanted to do that. So there was some decision from district to district. As a district, we did decide that we were going to begin new learning. So we would continue to go deeper on standards already taught, but then we would move forward with new learning. So we had made that decision. The next phase of the learning from the commissioner, the guidance was to begin new learning. And they provide us with the power standards that we needed to focus on. And the power standards were really the key standards as far as what the students need to know to move up to the next grade level, or the prerequisites for the next course. And so, so we had already begun the new learning. We were 2 weeks into that. We had our April recess, and then we came back to the new learning when that guidance came back. So we continued the new learning. We did Dr. Tellier and her great staff combed through all the power standards and confirmed that we were focused on the standards that we should have been focused on. So there are multiple steps, and that's how sometimes the guidance is given and gives leeway. There's other times where it's not given. For instance, we just received guidance around teacher evaluations. So in the beginning, we started we wrote a memorandum of agreement with the FEA, and we agreed upon language around teacher evaluation during closure. We got when we got further guidance from the state, we had to go back, and we are renegotiating now certain steps, because now DESE has requirements that we have to complete that we didn't have in our MOA. So sometimes there's guidance and we get leeway, and sometimes there's guidance where we don't. We have to follow it exactly. And so every time we get that, we come back together. I know for families, sometimes that feels like we're shifting a lot. We're trying to do as few shift as possible. But this, again, it's new for everyone, including the state level. So as they think through things, sometimes they come out with early guidance. As the closures continued, they rethought things, and the guidance changed. I think that's the same at our level. So we're shifting as they're shifting, and then that means our staff shifts, and of course in the family shifts. So I know that sometimes it seems like we're making a lot of decisions, but but it's because we have new information as things go along, and certainly with each new extended closure, there were new decisions to be made. So I just wanted to explain that, and hopefully that is that's helpful. And that goes along with the summer plans and the reopening for the school year. So the governor, we're waiting for his reopening plan. He introduced this week that there will be a 4-phase plan, but the details will come out next Monday. So we are waiting for those plans. And then what will follow is the Commissioner Riley will then have guidance. I would assume that there'll be a call shortly after for some discussion with superintendents about what they're thinking, and then there'll be written guidance to follow. So it may be, even after the governor makes the announcement on Monday, that it could still be a couple weeks before we actually have guidance to actually start putting pen to paper on our summer plans and our reopening plans. That's not to say that we are not discussing. We've been having a lot of discussions. We have Plan A and Plan B, Plan C, and many others because we just don't know, right? We're really in a situation, and I know we keep saying it's unprecedented times, but it really is, and it's uncertainty. And until we really know what the guidance is, till we know what the decisions are from the governor's office, it's hard to make specific plans. But we are talking and we are thinking about brainstorming about every possible thing at many levels. The superintendents across the state are, doing that. We are within our admin team here, and we're, reaching out to folks to get some feedback. Once we have some more guidance from the state level, we will be putting some different plans to paper that we can actually share. And we are going to be seeking feedback where I assume, again, there will be certain things that we will not have decisions on. It'll be the way it is. And then there'll be some leeway of some things. And so as much flexibility as that we're given, then we will make sure that we get input from Dr. Talia and her great grade level leaders and department heads that have just thoughtfully guided us through every step of the way so far. From our nurses, we definitely will, Joan will work with our nurses on helping us to make decisions. We have a safety team that Patrick will be working with to help us think about the safety. And so we do already have committees. Our principals will be leaning on their leadership teams. And then as the community and of course our town officials and Scott McGann at the health department will also be an important part of this. So we will be getting input and time. And right now we are laying out many plans, but we're just not in a situation to actually move forward or share anything at this time until we really get the guidance from the state level. So I just kind of wanted to share that. With the summer plans, we are able to move forward a little bit more with that, not necessarily on whether they can be, whether they'll have to be just remote or whether we'll be able to do any face-to-face. That decision will have to be made after the governor's decision. But to expand our summer program, we've made the decision that we will do that. So we will have our normal summer programs like our ESY, our credit recovery, our 8th grade skills programs to get ready for the high school. So we do those every summer and we will continue. What we want to expand on is for the students that are possibly were identified even before the closure of needing some extra supports, whether that may be in reading or math. And then there may be additional students identified through the closure. And so we want to offer extra support so that we can help get students ready for when school opens. We will also, just like Dr. Talia's office, created a lot of resources for families that want to have additional activities that may may not be for the students that are identified in need of additional support, but just want to have enrichment. We'll have resources available all through the summer. These students will be keeping their Chromebooks. I know we haven't got them out to the, we're still waiting on the Chromebooks delivery for the K2, but we will have them. So the students will keep the Chromebooks all through the summer because I want the resources to be available for the additional support. So those decisions so far has been made about the summer, what exactly it'll look like, what the, what parents will want to opt in on the summer programs. We'll definitely need, Giovanni will be working with teachers to identify teachers that would like to work through the summer to help us with this. So whether the decisions of whether we'll be able to have any type of face-to-face or whether we'll be all remote, that decision will have to come at a later time. And we'll continue to fill in details as we can. But I wanted to share with you that, my team is working diligently around thinking about every possible thing that we can around all of it so that we are prepared once we get guidance that we'll be able to put that pen to paper or ink to paper, where right now it's a lot of discussion. So I did want to share that and hope that that's helpful, a little bit around that. I want to also share some results from the survey. I want to just thank our many families that completed the survey. We actually had 1,030 surveys returned. That's almost a third of our, our population. We had both the paper pencil surveys returned. I think I shared with you that we were passing those out as well with our breakfast and lunch program and our Cape Kid meals. So we did have paper and pencil packets returned, as well as the online survey. So we're very pleased with that. We had a couple interesting facts during that, as Sonia and I were watching the surveys from having 50 surveys within the first hour after we sent out the message and watching it grow, that the percentages on some of the items didn't matter if it was from the beginning, after 200, after 500, after 800, or at the end. The balance of percentages actually stayed the same, which is interesting in itself, right? Because it does give us confidence that those percentages would continue to remain the same if it were for everyone to fill it out. The other unique fact there that we figured out is that the percentage of families that completed the surveys at the elementary level, at 5 and 6, at 7, 8, and at the high school were consistent. So we didn't have an imbalance of families reporting at one level over another. So that also we were pleased that we were getting a nice balance across the grade levels. To get down to a few of the items that were reported, one of the questions were, do you feel connected to remote learning? And we had 61% rated very favorably that they felt connected. And we did have a few, a few that did not. And I just want to, we continue to reach out to people. And I ask again for people to try to reach out to us. If you're not connected yet, please try to reach out to the teacher, to the principal, or me directly. But we want to make sure that everyone is connected, feels connected in what they're doing. But I am pleased that we feel like there's a great percentage that does. The question around flexibility or set schedule, it came out, and this is one that just stayed consistent all the way through, and it was about 57% like the flexibility, and about 36% want a set schedule. And interesting around that, that was true at the elementary level, and there were 27 write-ins that said that they would like to have a balance of both. And I think that was kind of consistent with what we've been hearing as well. the feedback we had been receiving at the elementary level, that type of feedback it had been growing after we started the new learning. And Dr. Tellier and the grade level leaders sat down and really took that feedback to heart. And they've already come up with a set schedule and assignments that comes out on Fridays. So that, and one of the things that the families had asked for was that then they would have the weekend to plan for that next week. So we're trying to be responsive, and I really appreciate Sonia and both the three of her teams that are constantly working on this as we get feedback on these things. And so hopefully we were able to answer some of that on that part of the elementary, even while the survey was happening. At Morris Pond, it was interesting on the flexibility. 97% of the families at Morris Pond want the flexibility. And I find that interesting because they are, at Morris Pond, the 5th and 6th grade have been very consistent with giving out their schedules and their assignments, but they have been very flexible around when they work with the students and when the assignments are done. So I actually felt like that was a result that matched the practice. And so we were pleased with that. Again, on the amount of work was another one that stayed consistent as the results were coming in. 63% of our population felt that the work was just right, and 21% felt it was too much, and 16% felt it was too little. And we're not really surprised about that, right? We've been giving it's been consistent with the emails and the phone calls that the principals and my administration has been receiving. So we kind of thought that that's the way it would be. So here's what I ask for those that think it's too much. We want to work with you, right? And we have been saying all along that the mental health is so important here. And if it is overwhelming and if it's too much, please reach out to us. We want you to do what you can. Reach out. We can offer additional supports, or we can do a modified plan for the students, because we don't want it to be any more stressful for families than what it is. For those that it's too little, again, we ask that that families reach out, as they have been. We have added additional resources for many families and have helped them. And the ones that we've helped, it seems to be working, that they have additional work for their children than what might be coming out, right? So even though the commissioner had said about half of the school day, so we're looking about 3 hours a day, 3.5 hours. And actually the 54% of our families reported that in that range, that is what they're doing. But there are parents that actually want more. They want full day. And so we have been, the ones that's been reaching out, we have actually been working with those families to figure out additional work that can be done. So I guess what I'm saying is we are trying to make sure that the majority of the families it works for, but we want to individually work with the families. So ways to reach out, obviously with the teacher, email or call the principal, email me directly, or email us questions, or let us know that you need help. And you can do that at the info@falmouth.k12.ma.us. So we had a lot of people were using that info address in the beginning, and we were being responsive. And so we might not have reminded people for a while. So I just wanted to get back to that and to remind people that that we are still watching it. And if you need help, please reach out on that. So that's a little bit about the survey results that Sonia and I were working with over the last several days, and we wanted to make sure that we had something to report out tonight. And again, just thank you for everyone that that was able to submit those surveys. And I just, Patrick will give us a little bit more detail in the next couple meetings, but I want to let you know that we are planning a summer feeding program. So we are going to continue through the summer to support our families. But there will be more details for that to follow. And Patrick will have something. But I know some people have been asking about that. So I just wanted to, we don't know quite what that'll look like yet, but we are planning to do something. And just, again, we're listening to you. Please reach out. We want to make this time as easy as possible for our families, but our staff is working incredibly hard. Just some not only continuing with the new learning, but the incredible things that they're also continuing to do to reach out to our families and to our students to make this a little bit brighter for everybody. So I appreciate everything that everyone's doing, and I just want to announce that publicly because the survey showed that too. Even when there were suggestions in the comment boxes, our Falmouth community is so kind and so polite. They always started out giving credit to people and giving kudos to our teachers and cheers for the district and all. And even when they had some suggestions, they just really are just thanking everybody. And so I just want to pass that on publicly to everyone and just how incredible and proud I am of our staff. Thank you.
Uh-oh.
Kelly,
Bill?
do you wanna,
I think Bill's frozen.
Rose, I think. Do you want to take over, Kelly?
Sure. So were there any questions for Lori? Andrea.
Lori, thank you for that. I think that clarifying that process was very helpful. And you also brought up the email address, the info at Falmouth K-12. And I think there was a piece there that there was a series of people that you can reach out to when you have questions that might be individual, teachers, principals, yourself. If there are things of sort of a more general and you receive sort of several, will the FAQs be updated, and is there a way to push that information out to parents so that they know that there's new information there?
Yeah, absolutely. It has slowed down. We were giving out a lot of letters to the families in the beginning, and it has slowed down because we're kind of in this new learning mode, and we have our families settled into our feeding program. We got connected to the counselors. We've got so I feel like some of the there's not been as many changes, but when there are changes, absolutely. And so just to the point of when we were receiving a lot of information about the elementary and needing a little bit more of a heads up on the schedule or assignments, we got, once they finished that went right out to the parents so that they knew that. So, Dr. Tellier took care of that. So as things come in and we see that, there's kind of multiple people requesting, we talk to principals, 3-4 times a week or more. And, so we're always processing that. So whether they go to Sonia, if they go to the principals or to myself, we're always collaborating and figuring out what this is and is there room. And I think our educators being involved, our grade level leaders, being involved in those discussions, our math coaches, our literacy manager have been incredible help during this time. At the upper grades, the curriculum council have really, just looked at things and the feedback that's been coming back through the teachers and through the principals and trying to adjust on a broader scale. But I still want to just remind people, if it's something that's still not working for you, because every household is different, right? We have feedback from families that say, two parents were working, I can't have my kids on the Chromebooks at the same time we are, or our bandwidth just won't handle it. So we got to help kids at night. We need flexibility, to families that say we're working, so we want our kids to be doing their work during the day, right? And so it just continues to, it's just a little bit different, right? And then we have families that say, I want all the flexibility in the world for my children. Just give me the work and I'll figure it out when the best time for the kids to do it. And some families that just say, we can't do this. You know, I'm trying to figure out how to work. I don't know how to, you know, I'm working long hours. I don't know what to do with this work that you're giving me to help my children. And so they're just overwhelmed. And, you know, and they might say, you know, that when on Saturdays, if we do get to spend it together, we just want to have some quality time. You know, I don't want to be sitting down. Some of the same homework, you know, kind of conversations that we heard during that time, right, are kind of mirrored here. So we have all different kind of situations, and we recognize there is a variety. It is different home to home to home, and we are trying to work with every individual home too. So we're looking at, you know, some consistent feedback and trying to tweak and make changes, but we also recognize that we need to help individuals as well. Thank you, Andrea, for letting me clarify.
Bill, are you back?
I'm not sure. Am I? I went through a reconnection thing. Can anybody hear me?
You're on.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
I just had one comment. Patrick, this is sort of for you as you're thinking through the summer program for meals. One thing that maybe if we can consider would be setting up some mechanism to accept donations, because I've had a couple people ask me already whether or not the schools can take financial contributions to help cover costs of feeding kids outside of the normal way we usually feed kids. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, so part of this discussion is to find out what other resources are going to be available in the community and kind of map this out for the summer with any other resources. And there will be, we've provided guidance in the past to people who are interested in donating money or whatever, or meals or whatever to families. So we'll come out with updated guidance on that too. Thanks.
Thank you, Patrick. John?
That's what I was going to say along those lines for the summer. It's great to hear that because those programs are so essential. I was going to suggest reaching out to the New England Dairy Council and No Kid Hungry, some programs that are out there. But also just to piggyback what you said, Lori, about the job that everybody's doing. I mean, it's really amazing. And I think we're all, parents especially, are getting more and more appreciative of what a great job teachers and support staff do on a daily basis. And in addition to that dynamic, I have to say we're lucky as a school committee to hear all the principals' messages, because the ones that aren't the schools that my kids are at, I also listen to those through as well. And I'm amazed that it inspires me, the comments that the principals have made. And, you know, they seem to say the right things at the right time. And I think if I'm hearing it, I'm sure other people are too.
Thank you, John. Terry?
So Patrick, I'm wondering about the summer schools, you know, our normal summer school programs. If we wanted to add some, I guess we would have to work with the teachers. And I was wondering, money that we didn't spend, will we have to give it back to the town at a certain time, or can we use it in the summer school? Suppose we wanted to offer like a boot camp where someone who still didn't get long division but knew they had to know it in 4th grade could get some help. So I don't know. Maybe you're having those conversations.
The process that we use at the end of the fiscal year is to identify available funds. Where are the deficits? There are definitely some areas where there's deficits. There's some areas where there's surpluses, and then work with the superintendent to come up with ways to spend the money as intelligently as possible. And summer school is where in the past, we've spent that money. So we'll continue doing that.
Thank you, Patrick.
Just as an aside, do we have to I don't know if we'll have any money left over, but would we have to return it?
So the town is very generous in terms of timing on this. It takes a fiscal year to end up returning money. So we've got time. No worries.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we'll move forward. Committee reports. Any follow-up information?
Bill, just a collaborative report.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, John.
No, no worries. So just an update on the Waypoint School. Sandwich has postponed their town meeting till at least June 15th. So we will, it's looking as if we'll have a home there at the Wayne School for at least for the foreseeable future. As far as the day-to-day operations, you know, the collaboratives working with the district and doing similarly to as we are in Falmouth, and they're doing a lot of good work. And then just a note that you know, unfortunately with the COVID precautions, the ASLP leadership program will not be able to take place at Mass Maritime this summer. But there will be a Zoom meeting that ASLP families will be reached out to attend to discuss alternatives. So if you're a student that is an ASLP, we're going to participate in that this summer. You should be very proud of yourself, and we're going to make sure you get that achievement recognized. And if you're a parent, you know, we're very supportive of, you know, making some sort of alternative arrangement to recognize that achievement. I just wanted to share that.
Thank you, John. Any other committee reports?
I don't know if it's a committee report. I have a committee request, I guess. I'm just wondering if, so usually the budget subcommittee doesn't meet except during budget season. But with so many new budget related things, I'm wondering if we could or should actually schedule a meeting to just walk through some of the things that we don't ever have to talk about and never have considered, but I'd be.
That's a fine idea. Yep, we can schedule that.
That'd be great. Thanks. With her, I mean, it would be great to have our FinCom people there, but I wouldn't want them to feel like they had to come either. So
We'll figure something out.
thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, request some follow-up information. I guess the best thing we can do for follow-up or for information is wait for the governor's declaration on May 18th. Future items, I guess this is a time to bring this up. I think, Meghan, this would be your last meeting. Am I correct on that assumption?
Yes, it is. I want to thank everybody. I really, the last 3 years have been great. Everyone's been so supportive, and I've learned so much. I can't even begin to start with all the stuff I've learned. I really appreciate it all. It's a little bittersweet leaving right now because I feel like this is a really important time for the school committee, and I think a lot of big decisions are going to be made in the next couple months to come, but I'm confident that my replacement is going to be able to jump right in and hit the ground running because she's a great asset as well. So yeah, again, thank you. And I think I definitely would do this again, maybe down the road in the future a little bit. It's kind of challenging working full time and having 2 kids of my own. So I think down the road when I have a little bit more time on my hands, I definitely would like to kind of jump back in and give it another shot. So again, thank you guys. I really do appreciate it. And you've all been great. Thank you.
Comments?
You, Meghan.
I'll miss
Hey, it was
you.
so, oh, sorry.
I will. I enjoyed your comments, your questions. I think your in-depth looked at a lot of different things. You did a great job. We'll all miss you. Take care. Good luck. And you'll be back. I think that's fantastic.
That's
Kelly?
the best news I've had all day.
I'm kind of excited to, be on that attendees list coming up here. See things from the other side. So, that's where all the stuff gets done on that other side. So we'll see.
Well, you will definitely be missed, and it really did make my day, the idea that you might come back. And I hope I'll still be here. But yeah, I've just so enjoyed getting to work with you and know you over the years, and hopefully we'll still stay connected. I would be
Oh,
sad
thanks,
if
Kelly.
you don't.
Thank you.
Melissa.
I just want to say, Meg, of course I'm going to miss you terribly. And it's been an honor serving with you the last 3 years. And it's also been great having another Clipper alumni in that role. And I think that those of us that have kind of walked the walk and are now doing this school committee role have a unique perspective of things. I think Terri can definitely vouch for that as well. So I appreciate all your time, and I appreciate your perspective and your history and your knowledge, and I also appreciate your time you're going to have. But please come back. There'll always be a spot.
Oh, thanks, Melissa.
Anyone else?
Thanks, guys.
Again, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Well done.
you.
Well done.
Thank you, Meghan.
Thank you.
Announcements? Any announcements? Terri?
I just wanted to say that last week I was a speaker at the French Honor Society induction. And of course it's French, and of course I would want to talk about it because it's French, but that's not really why I mention it. I mention it because it was a ceremony that took place in amongst the closing of school and everything. It was nice to see some parents and students in the audience. So I was really glad that they could have their induction ceremony. So.
Oh, did we lose you again, Bill? Yes. Okay, so I'm just going to go. So just a quick announcement. So every year you guys will remember that the senior class enjoys a voter registration drive courtesy of the school committee and volunteers from the League of Women Voters, and that even though graduation is so indefinite right now, the voter drive continues. So I've been working with Judy Fenwick, who has spearheaded this effort for 15 years now, to put together something to reach out to all of our seniors and get them registered so that they can vote. We still don't have Bill. Any other announcements?
No, you might now.
Oh, you're back.
Well, I have to be back. Anything else for announcements? With the quote. It'll probably go out halfway through the quote. Perseverance. Many of life's failures are people who do not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. Thomas Edison. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Megan's going to second
Megan
it.
second it.
Yes, you have to.
I'll second.
Okay. Okay. Melissa,
Yes.
Terri,
Yes.
John,
Furnari, yes.
Andrea,
Yes.
Natalie,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Kelly,
Kelly, yes.
Bill, and without question, last and not forgotten, Meghan.
Yes.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Take care, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.